AJ, we are so excited to have you. For our listeners and people that don't know, AJ Rafael is actually a family friend.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Should we tell the story?
Let's not get into the story just yet. I I just wanted to preface that because I feel so comfortable with you. Also, you're just all around dope guy, and your humility levels are at 1,000.
Oh,
So I just wanted to start the interview saying that, and I just feel so safe around you and comfortable. So this interview might be a little bit different from my
yeah,
normal
sure.
nerves.
No, I mean, yeah, definitely being a family friend helps. That's definitely a part of it. Knowing Pierre for my whole life. So, yeah.
For those that don't know, Pierre's my husband and
Oh,
partner
right.
and,
Yeah.
and baby
I don't know
daddy.
if you've done the intro yet. You know what
Never.
I mean? Yeah. So in a short story, that's our family ties.
What inspired you to sort of take your music career into your own hands and become a YouTube creator versus going the traditional route of just hounding the music industry? And
Sure. I think early on, I kind of embraced being like a quote unquote YouTube star or whatever. I mean, there are some points in my career where I was like, in the intro for my show, can you not call me YouTube sensation AJ Rafael? I want to be known as singer songwriter AJ Rafael. But recently and early in my career, to embrace that role that it says something different about your journey. If you're a musician who's coming from the YouTube space or from, you know, yeah, paving your own path, because it's not like ex American Idol contestant AJ Rafael, which is on my Wikipedia for some reason, but I never was on that show. But like it, you know what I mean? It's almost like that's a commentary on how I think people validate certain things. Even, my aunties and things like that growing up, like, why don't you try out for The Voice? Why don't you do American Idol and stuff? When I've had YouTube videos that, hit millions of views, I'm like, that to me is a feat in itself, right? And still to this day, I feel like I do have to still prove myself in some worlds that I'm in, and talk about my views and things like that. So people see me as a quote unquote real musician, because again, you can't audition for everyone and show them all your skills. Sometimes you just gotta be like, yeah, I came up in the YouTube era. I have 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and that I'm proud to say that shows a lot about what I've done for myself, as far as, and anyone knows who's trying to do social media or who has done social media, is that consistency to get even 1,000, even to get 50,000, 100,000 listeners or whatever it is a lot of work. So, I'm very proud to be part of that OG era of Asian American YouTubers and just YouTubers in general. And kind of to answer your second question, what inspires me to keep that going is when I am in different worlds. So, I'm pursuing musical theater as well, acting, things like that. When I meet these other actors who are more on the mindset of like waiting for the call, waiting for the email from their agent or their manager, when I'm able to say, hey, why don't we just go make a video right now? You know what I mean? They're like, oh my gosh, you can do that so fast, and it's just about setting up. It's even easier now because of TikTok and stuff, where you just have the vertical phone. You don't have to necessarily edit your content. But when I was in a show in Cambridge at Harvard, and I was there for a couple of months. I was there with some amazing actors who have been on Broadway, and things like that. I was also MJ Rodriguez, who's in the show Pose. This was before she, blew up. And, I remember just jamming with all of them and recording some of it. And they're like, whoa, this is cool. And I just put it out on my social media. They're like, they don't have to vet it. I didn't have to send it to a manager or a label or anything. So that helps inspire me to still keep doing this route. Of course, I'd love it if I did have maybe a record label that I could own all my masters and make all my own moves and they could fund everything. But that hasn't been my reality, and I am cool with it because I'm good at what I do. I think that's a big part of it too, is like believing that what you do, and it's been affirmed by people. People watch it, people listen, people want to listen to your music. So that definitely helps.
It's that community support
Yeah.
versus a corporate support.
Exactly. And I think anybody who has been to one of my shows, or when they see me meet my fans and stuff, you see how deep the connection is, and they'll bring up, your music got me through hard times, or middle school, high school, and all these things. And you're like, that keeps you going too, because it's a community thing. And also a lot of my fans feel like they were part of when no one knew me. I mean, still you can argue that nobody knows really who I am, but when they're like part of this kind of underground club, that becomes a communal experience.
Yeah, that was actually one of my questions because I had the opportunity to hire you for our community show back in
That's right.
2021 at
That's right.
Kapwa Gardens in San Francisco. And I was able to witness firsthand your humility and the amount of love you show your fans. Like, you were literally taking selfies with everyone that asked. I think someone busted out their ukulele and you were sort of jamming
Yeah.
with them on the spot. You brought him up
Yeah.
on stage.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Uh-huh.
I just,
That's right. That's
yeah,
right.
you just exert so much like kapwa. I feel like
Hmm.
you are the epitome. If kapwa is a person, it would be you, AJ.
I mean, and that that word and what that means, I feel like I would prefer that to be written on my grave before musician. You know what I mean? Because I am, and not just at shows and stuff, but like throughout my life, growing up, um, helping lead choir and church and things like that. Like bringing people together means more to me, and um, even in my career, if I've introduced someone to somebody, and they have a better relationship, and they end up, working a lot more. Like for me, I've done my part. You know what I mean? And that feels good to me. Like I do find fulfillment in the togetherness of, and what kapwa means, right? Like that to me means more than even just being a musician.
It's building bridges.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I do, very much remember that show. And how, yeah, now I remember the ukulele thing. So I'm going on tour in September, and we're tying in the show, um, which, I'm keeping behind doors, but I'll give a little bit here, is that, at the end of the show, I'm just going to come out on an ukulele, and I feel like that is it brings me back to my first YouTube videos, where it's just that. And yeah, there'll be more crowd interaction and things. I want people to feel like they're represented on stage as much as I am, so yeah.
But I also want to talk about your tour. It's been a decade since your last tour, and
Yeah.
you're kicking it off the Take Me Back tour actually next month, like you said. So, what are you looking forward to this year?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, yeah, it's been 9 years. To have recently, I just finished like putting my set list together and all the ideas for staging and how I'm walking on and things like that. And to develop a show is different from like, playing a show at Kapwa Gardens or at a college, right? Where I'll just go in and do my thing, which is amazing as well. But to have the same show every night for however many nights we're doing it, it's going to be a 2 week run, and then two other dates like a week later and a month later. And but to carry that show, it feels like it's a theater thing too, as well, a theatrical experience. So that's what I want to bring to the audience and the people who helped sell it out in a weekend. There's still tickets left for San Diego, but yeah, it's very, it means a lot to, and the name of the tour, take me back. I want to take people back to those kind of the good old days, the YouTube days. You know, people bring up that time to me a lot where, you know, they remember that they had my stuff downloaded on an iPod, that they had to download off YouTube, right? You know, even I caught the last end of like Napster and Kazaa and Morpheus and all those. You know what I mean? So like it's cool to be part of a specific time on the internet, and then to be brought back. I want to take everybody back during those shows. So it's going to be very special. We're starting in Vancouver, then going to Seattle, Sacramento, Berkeley, LA, San Diego. Yeah.
And is there any anxiety you're feeling? And how do you deal with that anxiety? Are
I
you like,
know.
no, I'm ready for this, old pro?
Yeah, yeah. No, when I'm doing college shows, literally, I don't even rehearse. I'm just like, I don't even warm up. I'll do it because yeah, it feels so familiar. You know, I'm like, I feel like a vet. But when it came to this tour, preparing for this tour, mostly what I was anxious about was like coming, finalizing logistics, things like that. Like, do I spend 12 grand more on a tour bus because it's more comfortable? My wife is coming on tour this time. It's not like the boys, you know what I'm saying? Like, take a van, piss in a Gatorade bottle. Like, literally, I've done that. It's, you know, it's a wild, those tours, but that was in my young 20s. You know, I'm like, we're in our 30s now, me and my band anyway. And it's like, hey, how do we make this great for everyone? Be comfortable, get enough sleep, things like that. That stuff was really giving me anxiety, like logistical stuff on like the routing. And, you know, driving from Seattle to Berkeley is, if we had done a van, which we'd all have to switch driving, that would have been the shittiest drive because we'd just come off a show, then having to, maybe we'll get to our hotel at like a 4 a.m. or something, you know, things like that. So being an adult on this tour, and also doing it on my own. The last tour I was on was funded by an agency, which it was a bad deal that we made. They rented out all the venues, but this time we worked with a booking agent who's doing splits and, you know, door deals with the venue and things like that, less risk. Thankfully we sold out, right? So that's not a problem. So I was having anxiety before the tour. Now, so I'm like, are people going to come? You know, things like that. And that went away. So then we started dealing with logistics. And then the fun part outside of the anxiety was coming up with a set list and bringing back all these songs and rehearsing them again and things like that. So there's still that ball of anxiousness that I think will always be there. But I'm in a place now where, you know, I just want us to be happy, be comfortable. I want my wife to be happy on tour. But also we know what tour entails, and like, we might not get a shower every day or something like that. So whatever.
Well, that's the maturity of a 30-year-old speaking right there, folks.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
a
It's so
good
much.
and a good husband. I'm gonna give you like some husband points right there.
Yeah, yeah.